Today, we're diving into something called psychological projection. It's a really core concept if you want to understand your relationships and, honestly, to understand yourself. We're going to break down exactly why certain people get under our skin so intensely and show you how that feeling, well, it often has a lot more to do with us than it does with them.
Oh, you know the feeling, right? Your coworker is just so lazy, your friend is being totally dismissive, or some public figure is just infuriatingly arrogant. And you feel this surge of emotion, annoyance, anger, disappointment, and you're 100% certain that they are the cause. It feels crystal clear. But what if that clarity is actually a very clever trick our mind is playing on us?
So what are we even talking about here? What are these projections? Well, at their root, they are one of the mind's most powerful and sneaky defense mechanisms.
At its core, projection is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. We take a thought or a feeling or some quality that exists inside of us, but one that we can't or maybe won't acknowledge, and we basically just throw it forward like a projector onto a screen. We make it land on someone else. It's our mind's way of getting rid of something uncomfortable by making it seem like it's happening out there instead of in here.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that paradox. The feeling, the anger, the insecurity, the jealousy, it's born inside of us. It's our own creation. But instead of owning it, we look around for a convenient hook to hang it on, appointing someone else as the cause for our own internal state.
So what kind of stuff do we tend to throw forward? Usually, it's the parts of ourselves we think are unacceptable. You know, things like aggression, laziness, insecurity, or neediness. If you were taught growing up, don't be angry, your mind will find a way to project that anger and suddenly you'll start seeing aggressive people everywhere. If you were taught don't be selfish, you'll find yourself constantly annoyed by how selfish everyone else is.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this actually look like in real life? Let's walk through a couple of really common scenarios.
Okay, picture this. You've just joined a new class or maybe a new team at work. You're feeling a little nervous, right? You really want to make a good impression, and you are terrified of saying something stupid. This is the perfect breeding ground for a very specific kind of projection.
Because you're so focused on your own perceived shortcomings, not being smart enough, not being witty enough, you project the opposite, your own ideal qualities, onto everyone else in the room. You look around and you see a room full of geniuses. They all seem so articulate, so confident. But is that reality? Or have you just handed them all of your own potential, leaving yourself feeling small and totally inadequate by comparison?
All right, let's look at a second example, one that is incredibly common. You rush to tell your friend about this brilliant idea you just had. You are buzzing with excitement. But as you're sharing it, she just kind of glances at her phone, gives a non-committal, and that's it. And you feel this sting of disappointment that quickly turns into anger.
And right here, we see the switch happen. Our immediate reaction is to project blame outwards. We build this whole story where she's the villain. But the reality? That's all internal. You had a hidden need for validation that you never actually voiced. Her neutral reaction didn't create your hurt. It just poked at the insecurity that was already there, just waiting for a trigger.
So, if this is happening all the time, how can we actually spot these projections in the moment? Well, there are a few key signs you can learn to look for.
First off, an intense emotional reaction. If you're having a 10 out of 10 feeling for what was maybe a 2 out of 10 situation, that's a major red flag. Another one is black and white thinking. Someone is either a monster or a saint, with no in-between. And then there's that feeling of absolute certainty that someone else is the sole cause of your pain. That's a classic sign. Finally, watch out for getting stuck in what you might call the elevator of one thought, where you're just going up and down between I'm good, they're bad, or they're perfect, I'm worthless, with zero room for any nuance.
So how do we get out of that elevator? The solution, the real key, lies in activating your inner observer.
Now, this is really important. This is not about becoming a robot or trying to suppress your emotions. The goal is the exact opposite. It's about becoming aware enough to truly understand your feelings instead of just blindly reacting to them. It's about activating what we can call the inner observer, that part of you that can just watch your own thoughts and feelings roll by without judging them.
And here's the toolkit. It's incredibly simple, but I'll be honest, it's not always easy. When you feel that intense emotional hook, the very first step is just to pause, just for a second. Instead of reacting, take a breath. Second, observe. Where do you feel it in your body? What is the pure sensation before you slap a label on it? And third, ask the game-changing question. Shift the focus from what is wrong with them to what is this triggering in me? What unacknowledged part of myself is being brought to light right now? Now, practicing this has a massive payoff. It moves you from a place of blame to a place of genuine power. And it's about so much more than just having fewer arguments. It's about fundamentally reclaiming your life.
Think about it. As long as you believe someone else is the cause of your anger or sadness, you have literally given them the remote control to your inner state. They have the power to make you feel good or bad. When you start owning your feelings as your own, you take that remote control back. You become the source of your own emotional well-being.
And this is where the real growth happens. The parts of ourselves we disown, our shadow self, as Carl Jung called it, they don't just disappear, they hold immense energy. By recognizing your projected anger, for instance, you can reclaim that energy to set powerful boundaries in your life. By owning your neediness, you learn how to ask for support directly and build way stronger connections. You stop living as this fragmented person at war with yourself and you start becoming whole. Integrating these parts gives you access to their power, and it just widens the range of how you can show up in the world.
Ultimately, this is the takeaway. Every single time you catch a projection and you bring it back home to yourself, you are taking another piece of your life out of the hands of other people, or of fate, and you're placing it firmly back in your own. It is the ultimate act of taking responsibility. So I'll leave you with this question. As you go about your day, just notice. Look at the people and the situations that trigger you the most, and ask yourself, is this reality or is it a reflection? What part of myself am I meeting out there in the world today? The answer, I promise you, might just change everything.